republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, will call the roll, please.
Commissioner Carlson. Commissioner Mahelton.
Here.
Commissioner Boulay.
Here.
And Chairperson Wynick.
Present. Okay, first order of business is acceptance of the minutes in the April 23rd, 2014 meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motions are accepted. Prior to us getting into the agenda, Councilor Russell, who is representing District 3, where one of the hearings is to take place in the polling location, has requested to speak before the board because he will be unable to attend the hearing at the time that it's scheduled for personal reasons. Is there any objection?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, first of all, to you and your colleagues on the board for your allowing me to be heard tonight. As you know, I have a personal family commitment, and it includes rushing my daughter to Logan Airport momentarily, but I won't be able to stay for the actual hearing. And I do appreciate your efforts and willingness to listen to me now, as well as your willingness to listen to me as I have had conversation with you with all of you on this issue one way or another. I just want to be clear, first of all. This is a very, very important issue to the folks in Quincy Village and in College Hill, but it potentially damaging to Quincy Village, quite frankly. I want to take the opportunity to say actually thank you to the folks at Holy Cross for offering the location, for their willingness to do all that they do, for continuing to do all that they do so many different ways in our community, and their willingness and openness to offer the Hogan Center and the parking and even their staff and trying to look out for those parking spaces. And it's not an easy thing that they've done. And I don't want people to think that this is something that's, in my opinion, my recommendation not to support this is anything against Holy Cross. Holy Cross is a great institution. I think I've spent more time with my constituents at Holy Cross, whether they be residents of 1 College Street or whether they be neighbors nearby at various different meetings. I probably spend more time at Holy Cross than I have in any place in my district as far as neighborhoods. But the location at Holy Cross, in my opinion, is an inconvenient and topographically difficult and a very congested location. There are much better choices available. I gave you some notes tonight that address the package that the clerk and his staff have given you, and some photos and items that I've wanted to bring to your attention. Quite frankly, right on the front page of one of my note package, you'll see highlighted, the clerk has told me that this board has to make a decision on Holy Cross, yes or no, vote it up or vote it down before this board, or at least that's been the practice of the board in the past, to take an item up and vote it up or vote it down before they can look at other locations. I have made the personal effort as a district councilor. First of all, my initial reaction to this was, sure, let's work with Holy Cross and try and use the location. But when I heard from constituents and I looked at it closely, I decided against it. And I also made the effort to go to the nearby church, the Bethlehem Covenant Church, and come up with an alternative. I made the effort to work with the folks at the Quincy Village Neighborhood Center and offer my assistance if there was some way of dealing with any structural deficiencies that may be there. And I also know that there's a thing called the Blackstone Visitor Center that's going to be built, open, and operational, hopefully, about 3 years down the road. I think that ultimately that should be the place where this voting precinct goes. And in the meantime, I really don't think Holy Cross is a good alternative. But in the meantime, that Bethlehem Covenant Church will be a much better location. But none of my comments address that location because it's my understanding that this board has to vote up or vote down Holy Cross. So I would encourage you to tonight vote down Holy Cross and go back and look at some alternatives, even on a temporary or a short-term basis. This district, this precinct, if you will, is made up of 3 distinct neighborhoods. It's made up of 3 areas, and what this proposal does is basically makes it easier for one neighborhood or one portion of the district and makes it more difficult for the other 2/3 of the precinct. Makes it much more difficult. On the package that the clerk is providing to you today, the front page of it, when I saw it, I said, gee, that looks very nice. But then at closer look, I noticed it's areas of the college that will not be affected by the voters and probably will not come in contact with the voters unless they're residents of one college. And, the photos of the tulips and the roundabout and the overview are all beautiful pictures, but they're pictures that are not going to be voters are not going to be coming in contact with. What voters are going to come in contact with is the driveway, the parking, and the Hogan Center. Excuse me. On the package that the clerk has given you, he's given you some at my request, and I appreciate that. Some specific heat maps showing where the votes come from, basically getting back to my theory of 3 neighborhoods. And if you look at these heat maps, many of them look very similar to this. They vary a little bit from election to election, but you have basically 3 distinct areas. The one area which is in the proposal today, which is the Hogan Center, and 1 College Street, you've got, I think it was over 200 acres of land. You've got 11 buildings that are listed as housing. You've got, I don't know how many dwelling units and what you would even consider a dwelling unit, if it would be a dormitory or if it would be, if it would be an apartment or some other kind of dwelling unit. And according to this map, it's all one big happy family, the one up top. It's a red dot, 1 red dot. And then down below, if you feed that information into the heat map, of course it's going to come out like that. You've got acres and acres of land, building after building, all using the same address of 1 College Street. And that's just the way they've done it for years. So, but the fact of the matter is that these heat maps and locations are not really accurate if you're going to use acres and acres of land. Then, I just want to bring to your attention on the last page of your package that the clerk has provided you with. He shows where the current voting location is, which is 2 blocks out of the precinct. That is important. It would be really nice if it was in the precinct, and it would be nice if we had many voting locations. There were, I don't know how many, but I know in my own city council district, we've got at least 4, including this, that are not in the precinct. And I think we have 10, so I have 4 out of the 10 that are probably not in the district. I don't, Mr. Clerk, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the clerk, is it 4 or is it 3? Because at the senior center, we have 3 voting, so they can't all be home precincts. There's going to be at least 2 there, right? So it's 2. And then we have the one at the Science Center, which actually votes out of my ward and into Ward 4. So that will be 3, and this would be the 4th one. So, is that correct?
Off the top of my head, I wasn't prepared to answer that question, but the senior center, of course, with 3 precincts in one building, is at the confluence of 2 precinct lines, so it's definitely outside of 1. The best of our efforts, we of course try and put a polling location within the precinct, but the state law allows us to be in the adjacent precinct if need be.
Right. So my point, Mr. Chairman, is that in my small city council district, which is only about 20% of the city, we've got 10 precincts, and I'm about 40% of them are out of the precincts. So, and then my concern is that how far out? This is only a block and a half or so out. In my own package, my notes that I gave you, which I apologize for them not being well planned and well brought out, because that's all they are, is notes. And as you know, the city councilors don't have staff members to assist them in this. We do what we can on our own. If you're looking at the in-precinct argument, and you look at the Quincy Village Center, according to Google Maps, it's 486 feet away. 486 feet away. Just to put that in perspective, the driveway at the Hogan Center, from College Street to the front door of the Hogan Center, according to Google Maps, is 1,056. So that means the distance that this is out of the precinct is only half the distance of the driveway alone at the Hogan Center. On my notes, I also went around and took many pictures and put notes showing the steepness of it. The problem that this site gives us is that it's very steep. It's going to make it more difficult for folks to get there. It's going to make it virtually impossible for anyone off campus to get there via foot traffic. If you look at my first set of photos, that's the driveway coming off of College Street, where my car is parked, the red car off to the right. You can't even see the Hogan Center from College Street. And then when I moved to my right, and I took a picture looking up College Street, which where the nearest voters would be, that's the steep slope that those folks would be asked to vote. You'd be asking them to walk uphill. If you flip the page again in my notes, you'll see the picture of the front steps at the Hogan Center. Obviously, many folks who come to vote are not going to necessarily need an elevator. They're not going to want to use an elevator. They're not going to want to use a chairlift if they don't have to, but they're going to want to use stairs. They're going to have to come in via stairs. The picture on the bottom is the 3 or 4 steps at the Quincy Village Center. The picture on the top is twice as many steps at the Hogan Center, even though the steps at the Hogan Center obviously are much prettier and more accessible with more railings. But I think that's something that if we need to work at the neighborhood center, we'll be happy to help them with. HP access, the handicapped person access. I visited the site at least twice in the last week, and both times when I visited the site, the gate or the electronic lift, if you will, of the campus was locked. For what reason that would ever be locked, I have no idea. Maybe later on when you have your hearing, the folks from Holy Cross will be able to tell us why that gate, why that chairlift is ever locked. I don't understand why it would ever be locked. The entrance down below for Quincy Village Neighborhood Center shows the graded parking lot, if you will, leading to the side door. Quite frankly, my disappointment, and again, I've been asking over and over again for a list from the clerk, a specific list of what's wrong with this precinct. And I have not received that. And I've said that to him personally and privately, and I'll say it to this board. And one of the things, the conversation that, and just verbally he had told me, was that the door needed to be blasted out, that it was bricks around it that needed to be widened out. Well, I went there with a tape measure, and the tape measure that I brought was a regular tape measure, and as you see, it's a 36-inch door. It's a 36-inch door that leads in, and it's a 36-inch archway on the inside, both accessible. The parking lot picture down below shows the access for the driveways, and the trick of the matter is that once you're in the building, it's also all level. The clerk has told me that there were uneven floors. I don't know of any uneven floor at the Quincy Village Neighborhood Center, and I would encourage those who have not visited the site to personally visit it. I will say that this ramp, which there's a picture of here with the red wall behind it, it's a small little makeshift ramp, does need to be repaired and upgraded. I'd be happy to help the center if need be to obtain the funds that they may need to upgrade it. That is the only problem that I see. There's about an inch lip there where that board, basically just a board ramp that is over the years has worn out. Again, a 36-inch door without a step.
Councilor, I don't mean to interrupt, but we are coming into the time for our first hearing.
Mr. Chairman, if you may, I'm coming down the home stretch. Parking, on the parking issue. You've got parking that's being offered by Holy Cross, which is a generous offer for them to have someone outside all day long guarding the spaces that the commission is going to offer for people that are voters only. Well, what about the people that are going to come in as volunteer checkers? What about the people that might want to come in during the day and work as a volunteer holding a sign? Where are they going to park? They're going to be on College Street, or are they going to be on further up in the hill along in the parking lot? And you know what? Those folks also need some access. The College of the Holy Cross now currently offers a shuttle service. A shuttle service that brings people over to vote and does a wonderful job. And the college should be congratulated for offering that shuttle service. The folks in Quincy Village do not have a shuttle service at their disposal. And quite frankly, when you look at these maps, and this is the last thing I'll tell you, Mr. Chairman, that I wanted to provide to you, and I'm disappointed that they weren't in the package at the beginning. These are maps that I obtained from the planning office showing the slope of the parking lot and the slope of College Hill and the slope in relation, in comparison to the current location on Greenwood Street, because there is virtually no slope at the location on Greenwood Street. But every line on this slope map shows a 2-foot grade. The grade just from the front door at the Hogan Center to the parking spaces that are being guaranteed to be guarded all day by the college staff. Just that little, which is probably the best section of the parking lot, is more than a 6-foot grade. So when you come out that door at the Hogan Center, you're going to be walking up a 6-foot grade, at very best. And we shouldn't be asking people to climb a hill. We shouldn't be making it more difficult for folks to vote. And we should be looking at other locations, primarily in areas where they need to be able to walk to go vote. This doesn't do it. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your efforts. I know that you work hard, and I appreciate the efforts of the commission. And I'd be happy to answer any question that they may have, but other than that, I'm going to excuse myself.
Anyone have any questions of Councilor Russell? Thank you very much for your information and feedback, Councilor Russell. I'm sure the board member will take that into account in our decision. And I want to thank the members of the public who have come forward for the first hearing for 3-2 for their patience while Councilor Russell gave us his information, since he was unable to attend the scheduled hearing. In the interest of proceeding further, I would request, I would like to make a motion that we defer the initial agenda items until after the hearing, after the 2 hearings. Is there? I would.
Second.
Are you going to be clear?
Yes.
May I bring postal agency in to also table this?
Mr. Roseanne, would you be kind enough to join us at the table? May I excuse you? Have a seat. Chairman, with your permission, I'd just like to introduce the gentleman who's joined us at the table. This is Adam Roseanne. Adam is from the Worcester Art Museum, and he is their Director of Community Engagement, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Adam? Audience Engagement. And Mr. Roseanne is new to the Worcester community, and one of the things that brought us in contact with him is the Art Museum initiated a call to the Elections Office last summer, wanting to know from the city what it would take to become a polling location, as they're making great strides to integrate themselves more into the community. So I'd like to get Mr. Roseanne a microphone, and he could speak a little bit about the reasons why they've done that. I draw your attention to this page in your packet. This begins the materials that Mr. Vangelli has put together so that you can make the best decision in the interest of the voters voting public. Mr. Roseanne.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, and appreciate it, members of the audience and the public and this illustrious committee. I'm here on behalf of the Worcester Art Museum because we so fully believe in improving accessibility to our community and to the region that we serve and to this great city of Worcester, that making the museum more accessible is truly at the heart of what it means to be a museum now and in the future. And the museum is making great strides to kind of open our doors. And one of the things we recognized immediately under the director of Matthias Vostruk's vision was to find ways into the community. And it's been really amazing working with the city clerk, and it's been nothing but just a fantastic experience. Voting for us is not something that we just are doing lightly. We believe it's a great opportunity to welcome our own very community that we kind of live amongst, and to welcome them into our most sacred space, into the museum. If you open up your packet, where would that be? Before the bridge, and I can tell you about the bridge. But there's images of the actual gallery where we're doing this. We are proposing that we would put this in and around the Hunt Mosaic. The Hunt Mosaic, as you know, is the kind of the key piece of the Worcester Art Museum's collection. It is from historical Antioch, modern day Turkey. We have chosen this place because of its pure significance, not only to this community, but to the history of Worcester. What you can't see in this image, and this is my doing, to the left and right is the Greek and Roman galleries, which is the birthplace of voting. The day of voting, we would have our galleries open to all the residents who came to vote, and we would have docents there to talk about the history of voting. A great way to kind of connect modern day voting with historical voting, and just a nice way to remind people. It's one of the many things that we will continue to do to try to make the museum more accessible, more open, but we believe for our neighborhood, Great Precinct 3-2, to open our doors to voting would be a really nice gesture to our community who might not know about the museum or might not have a place worthy of such an action. The other thing I really wanted to say, and if you indulge me, is that the museum is very committed to this. If you can see on page, I'm not sure what it is, it says 5 in the brochure, it's the bridge images. The museum has embarked on a very ambitious project to improve accessibility to the institution. There are many areas in the museum that need improvement. We have chosen accessibility as the top of our list of things to do. And no better way to do that than building a bridge from the ground floors to these kind of most sacred doors, or Salisbury Street entrance into this area, our Renaissance Court. And we've commissioned a firm out of Los Angeles and New York called Y Architecture. They've been working with the museum for several months now, and the bridge is what you can see here. So this is not a ramp, but a bridge, worthy of our visitors, worthy of the people who rely on improved access to get inside the facility. This bridge is scheduled, and we are making great strides to do so by November. We have a series of events at the museum that we want the bridge to be open for, but none is more important to us than participating in this most important activity of voting. So you can see before you our bridge plans, and we are working within the city and the state to ensure that those activities happen in time. And you can see before you the bridge. Any questions I can offer other than to say thank you so much for allowing myself and the Worcester Art Museum to try to participate in this process with you all.
I just have one question. Now you talk about the bridge being ready for November.
Mm-hmm.
When would we be scheduled to move into this for the September primary?
Through the chair to the commissioner's question, we very much would like to stay consistent with the previous practice of previous commissions, and that is that we set the voting locations for a given calendar year. So the locations that we establish now would be for calendar 2014, which would include any special elections that might come up. For this particular location, there is an alternate handicap access.
So that's really the crux of the
Yes,
question.
I presume that's what you were getting.
But prior to November, any voting that takes place, access is available.
Access is 100% available. This would happen, we have handicap parking, we would do it in our cafe.
And
The
you have
cafe is
to
100%.
improve it.
Just improve it we're trying to find an area that's, the area of Worcester. Yeah.
Did you mean 2014 or 2015?
2014.
The location's gonna stay the same?
No, this location, Ward 3 Precinct 2 and Ward 6 Precinct 4 are before you for implementation for this fall. Previous commissions have acted in a way that we like to establish the locations by July 1st, because as you'll see on the very last page of your packet is a 15-point implementation plan that we adhere to, so that we do all that advance notice to the voters to make sure that there's nothing being done without full disclosure and knowledge of voters.
Mr. Roseanne, the bridge, am I looking at the right picture?
You are. That's our bridge.
And it bridges from where to where?
That's a great question. We use the term bridge because I think a ramp doesn't really signify what we're doing. In front of the museum, this is our Salisbury Street entrance. We have a series of steps. To negate those steps, rather than just building a ramp, which wouldn't be worthy of the institution and worthy of the public, we built a bridge from the ground to the front steps. So you can just kind of go straight up. Yeah.
Then I had another question. We have a drawing here that shows the Salisbury Street entrance and then handicap at the rear. Or if it's this,
Yeah.
all right, this one.
So that is our floor plan of the original building, the museum.
I confess, I have not been to the museum yet.
I think we should adjourn the meeting and go to the museum right now. It's crucial.
This handicap access, where is this?
That is behind the facility that is kind of close in proximity to our cafe. And the Salisbury entrance where the green arrow is, these arrows are fantastic, Clerk. We have parking right there for our residents, for this neighborhood. So these are the parking right there that would meet the bridge. And we have parking on the side. So we have ample parking. Should we need to use the back area where the museum's cafe is, and the cafe is very, very good, we should go. We have parking right there as well that is both handicap and non-handicap spaces.
If a person were to enter the handicap,
Mhm.
it's back here,
Mhm.
where would he or she walk to vote?
If the voting does not happen in the Renaissance Court, if it happens in the back area, I'm not 100% following your question, I apologize. Right now, we have, the entire museum is accessible. We have elevators, ramps throughout the entire facility. So no matter where you go, we can get you there. But in the front of the building, we are hoping to have the bridge ready in time so that you would park right in front of the building, roll up the ramp, and go straight in the doors. And or if the voting is in the cafe, you would park within, it's a very small area.
I think the commissioner's concern is how easily accessible, if the voting area is in the Renaissance Court, easily accessible is it to the handicapped? And
It is extremely accessible. This is the reason why we're doing this bridge. Our museum is taking great strides to improve accessibility. This area would be the most accessible location. You would be able to park within feet of the bridge, I mean, a small amount of feet, and then it would go up through. So we've been working with the Commission of Disabilities with the city and the state to ensure that we are not only meeting code, but we are far surpassing code.
I understood, but I think that
If I may have one follow-up? My concern is for people who have handicap placards and are not in wheelchairs. And that's why I asked.
We have ample handicap parking in both the front of the building and the back of the building. Yeah. We have to do that by, so not only that, what we're trying to do with the bridge right now, maybe it's the easier way to say it, is we are right now accessible. We want to take accessibility really to the very next level, the highest plateau. So right now, every day of the week that we are open, which is Wednesday through Sunday, members of our community who rely on these services are coming to us. So we're already there. The bridge just allows us to improve it to the next step, and then we'll continue in the years to come to improve every section of the institution. But I feel very confident that members of the community who rely on accessibility improved areas will be able to vote regardless of where this is happening. This is just a secular way to do it.
You're closed on Tuesdays?
We are closed on Tuesdays, and we would open just for this process.
Mr. Chairman, the general protocol for these hearings in the past has been that I provide you some facts based on your on the packet that you've asked for. But I wanted you to hear from Mr. Roseanne because I wanted you to be exposed to his enthusiasm. And I think he's conveyed the willingness of this world-renowned institution. I just want the commissioners to remember that going back a few years when we were searching for locations within the Wheaton Square area, which is the center of the voting precinct, if you notice on your map, the Art Museum is literally the geographic center. I think I told you, and I'm admitting publicly, that I made a terrible error in not knocking on the door of the Art Museum, because I thought with their collection that there would be no way that their security would allow us to vote in this location. We went to every other institutional entity in that square, and for one reason or another it didn't work, and we ended up being in a double precinct on Belmont Street, which is outside the precinct lines. And even though the Housing Authority is wonderful to the Election Commission in offering their facilities, it's not the best location for people in this precinct. When Mr. Roseanne called and offered his facility, Josh Meduna and I went over there. We were just so pleasantly surprised. And then to receive the renderings of the proposed bridge that's to be built at the front of the building, I think this is a win-win for all of us. If you have any questions on the facts of the packet, I'll be happy to expound on them for you tonight or in the future. If you so approve this location, then we'll be working to implement the plan.
I do have one question, if you could possibly clarify, because you used November as a target date for the bridge to be completed, and we do have a September primary. I do have a bit of a concern about having voters turn up for one part of the building and the next time, literally within 2 months, have to turn up for another part of the building. Is there any possibility of the front entrance being used in September so that we didn't have to direct voters to the back of the property and then to the front of the property?
Right. Unfortunately, the bridge would not be ready, and we would have no way to have a ramp into that front area. Right now, you can go through the entire facility to get down there. It is not ideal. You know, it's a series of hallways and elevators, and it's not becoming or fitting for this. The simple answer, if you don't mind, is that it could be an inconvenience, and I hate to say that to this group, but it's important to acknowledge that I think for the years to come, we would be happy with this decision to move forward with the Art Museum as the location for 3-2. In the years to come, this would become an area of pride for the city and for this area. It could be an inconvenience at first, and we would, of course, work with the point plan to support how we're possible in using our tools and communications to support and follow any directions that the city clerk had for us to participate in. Certainly, we would do everything within our scope to help out with that communication.
When I spoke with Mr. Roseanne about the timetable for the bridge, I'm very well aware of the tenuousness of the September date, and we would work to do everything possible to make certain that every voter was aware of where they would enter the building, how close we would be able to vote to that location. He's mentioned the cafe. The fact that they're closed on Tuesday gives us carte blanche, and I think that whether we vote in the front or the rear in September is something that we can make happen. I think we want to establish a plan here that allows us to move forward and long-term at this location, and I hope that the Commission would have confidence that we can make sure the voter is clear as to how to approach the building. And would be willing to accept any of your comments, because I don't want to lack it on ideas. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks,